welcome to the deep dive. If you're thinking about getting back into the workforce or maybe jumping into a completely new industry, well, you're definitely in the right place today. We've pulled together some really interesting material. It's all about how you can use the experience you already have,
Right.
even if, your old job looks totally different from where you want to go next.
Exactly. And today, we're really digging into what are called soft skills.
Okay.
Now, that term might sound a bit fuzzy compared to, say, knowing a specific software program.
Yeah, less concrete maybe.
But what our sources are really highlighting is just how critical these skills are, especially if you're looking to make a career.
So the mission today is?
Well, our goal is really to give you practical ways to first spot these skills in your own background, and then, crucially, how to talk about them confidently.
Okay, let's get specific then. Soft skills. When we're talking about someone maybe re-entering the workforce or changing field entirely, what exactly are we talking about?
Good question. Think of them as your people smarts, maybe.
People smarts. I like
No.
that.
It's about how you communicate, how you work with others, how you, interact generally.
Okay.
So things like teamwork, problem solving, how you react when things change.
And the key thing for someone changing careers.
The really powerful part is that these skills, they travel with you, unlike, say, technical skills that might be tied to one job.
Like knowing a specific coding language or operating certain machinery.
Exactly. Those are hard skills. Soft skills, though, they're transferable. They apply pretty much everywhere.
That's actually a really encouraging thought, especially if you feel like your experience is maybe too niche.
Right.
So let's take an example. Someone who's maybe spent years in, retail management. What soft skills have they likely built up that could actually be super valuable in, let's say, project coordination? Something that sounds quite different.
Oh, that's a perfect example. Okay, retail management, you're constantly, and I mean constantly, communicating.
With customers, with staff.
Right. So
Yeah.
Communication skills, check. Teamwork.
Yeah.
You're coordinating people, resources, probably daily.
Definitely. Trying to hit targets together.
Yep. Problem solving. I mean, customer issues, stock problems, scheduling conflicts. It's nonstop.
True. You're putting out fires all day.
You really are. And adaptability. Retail changes, fast sales, seasons, policies. You have to roll with it.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Now, pivot to project coordination. What do you need? Clear communication with stakeholders, teamwork to bring different people together on the project,
Right.
problem solving when inevitably things don't go to plan,
Always happens.
and adaptability when the project scope changes or deadlines shift. See, the underlying skills are incredibly similar.
Okay, that overlap is clearer now.
Yeah.
So our material breaks down some key examples of these transferable skills. Let's maybe tick through a few. Communication came up first. Seems fundamental.
Absolutely fundamental. I mean, think about it. Explaining something complex, whether it's a product feature or a project update.
Or just listening properly to understand what someone actually needs.
Exactly. That active listening part is huge. Your experience dealing with, say, tricky customer questions might actually make you better at understanding client needs in a completely new setting.
Interesting. Okay, next one that pops up a lot. Teamwork.
Yeah, almost unavoidable, isn't it? Most workplaces just don't function without it.
True.
So that retail manager coordinating shifts, getting the team focused on a goal that directly shows you can collaborate, share responsibility, that translates anywhere.
Makes sense. How about problem solving? You mentioned putting out fires.
Yeah. Yeah, and that skill is gold. Every industry has its own flavor of problems, right? But the process, identifying the issue, thinking critically, deciding on a fix, maybe under pressure.
The core ability?
That core ability is universal. Your experience solving, say, a logistics nightmare in retail is proof you can tackle unexpected challenges, period.
Okay. Adaptability. You touched on this, but it feels extra important when you're the newcomer in an industry.
Oh, massively important. You're walking into potentially different ways of doing things, different tools, maybe even a whole different company culture.
Yeah, that can be daunting.
It can. But if you've got a track record of adapting to new sales tech in retail or sudden changes in store promotions that shows potential employers you can learn fast and be flexible, that's a huge plus.
What about leadership? What if someone hasn't had, like, the official manager title? Can they still claim leadership skill?
Oh, absolutely. Leadership isn't just the title on the door. It's about influence, initiative, guiding people.
So, like, taking charge of a difficult situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe training a new hire effectively. or proposing a better way to do something and getting others on board.
Okay.
Anytime you stepped up, motivated someone, or made a key decision, even in a small way, that's demonstrating leadership potential that's valuable anywhere.
Oh, quaint. Time management. Feels like a basic one, but always relevant.
Always. Can you organize your tasks? Can you prioritize what matters most? Can you meet deadlines?
Pretty fundamental stuff.
Yep. If you successfully juggled multiple demands in a busy retail job, that's solid evidence you can manage your time effectively in another role. It's a given, almost, but you still need to show it.
Critical thinking. How does that fit in when you're switching industries?
Well, critical thinking is about analyzing information, right? Evaluating different options, making logical judgments.
Hmm.
When you enter a new field, you need that skill to quickly grasp the landscape, understand the challenges, figure out how things work.
So maybe analyzing sales data in the old job.
Yeah. Analyzing sales data, figuring out why something is or isn't selling, deciding on promotions based on that evidence that demonstrates critical thinking you can apply to new problems.
Okay. And emotional intelligence. That sounds important, but maybe harder to pin down.
It's super important. It's basically about understanding your own emotions and recognizing and responding appropriately to others' emotions.
Right. The people smarts again.
Exactly. Think about retail again, dealing with happy customers, upset customers, stressed colleagues.
A wide range.
A huge range. That experience likely built your ability to read situations, show empathy, build rapport, handle difficult conversations. Those skills are crucial for fitting into any new team and building relationships.
And the last one on this list, conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, disagreements happen.
They absolutely do in any job. So if you have experience, say, mediating a dispute between staff members or calming down an angry customer and finding a solution.
Turning a negative into a positive, maybe.
Precisely. That shows you can navigate disagreements constructively. That's incredibly valuable for maintaining positive working relationships. Hugely sought after.
So we've got this list of really valuable, transferable skills. Why are they so important when you're trying to break into a totally new area? What's the connection?
Okay, think of it like this. You will need to learn new things in a new industry. The jargon, the specific processes, maybe some technical stuff. That's the hard skills gap sometimes.
Right.
But your soft skills, they're the foundation that lets you learn that new stuff effectively. Good communication helps you ask good questions, absorb information faster.
Okay, I see.
Teamwork skills help you integrate with your new colleagues quickly. Problem solving lets you start contributing value even while you're still learning the specifics.
And adaptability helps you just cope with the newness of it all.
Exactly. Your existing soft skills basically make you a quicker study and a better bet for the employer right from day one. They accelerate your learning curve.
That makes a ton of sense. So for someone listening who's thinking, okay, I have some of these, how can they actively, polish them up or demonstrate them better? Our sources had some practical tips.
Yeah, some really good ones. One idea is to look for chances to lead projects, even small ones.
Outside of work, maybe.
Yeah, like volunteering to organize something in your community or even within a hobby group. It gives you concrete examples of communication, leadership, maybe problem solving, time management.
Things you can actually talk about.
Exactly. Another great tip, especially if you're exploring a new industry, is setting up informational interviews.
Just talking to people, already doing the job you're interested in.
Right. It's not asking for a job, it's learning. But the act of preparing for it, reaching out, leading the conversation that exercises your communication, initiative, critical thinking.
And you give feedback maybe on how your skills might fit.
Precisely. And a third idea was even starting something yourself, like a small club or an online group or a local initiative.
Shows proactivity.
Huge proactivity. And it requires leadership, communication, organization, empathy. All those transferable skills in action. Gives you great stories to tell.
Okay, proactive steps. Now, the crucial part, getting these onto the resume and talking about them in interviews when you're applying for that job in the new industry.
Yeah.
How do you do that effectively?
This is where you need to be a bit of a translator. Don't just list your old duties.
Like manage staff schedules.
Right. Instead, focus on the skill you used and the result. So maybe something like enhanced team efficiency by implementing a new scheduling system, demonstrating strong organizational and time management skills.
Ah, okay. Connect the action to the skill.
Yes. Or instead of just handled customer complaints, maybe resolved over 90% of complex customer issues through active listening and empathetic problem solving, significantly improving satisfaction ratings. Frame your accomplishments using the language of soft skills.
So even if the context was retail, the skill shown problem solving, empathy is clear.
Exactly. You make the connection obvious for the hiring manager. And if you don't have lots of formal work experience or it feels very different, use examples from school projects, volunteer roles, clubs, even part-time jobs.
Highlighting the teamwork in a group project or leadership in a club.
Precisely. Focus on the role you played and the soft skills you used to contribute or achieve something.
That's really practical advice. Now, our sources also kind of boiled it down to a top 5, didn't they? The most in-demand soft skills employers are looking for right now. What were those again?
Yeah, the ones that kept coming up were leadership,
Okay,
adaptability,
makes sense.
critical thinking,
Ah,
a strong work ethic,
right.
and communication. Those 5 seem to be consistently high on employers' wish lists pretty much across the board.
And it's striking how those are all about how you work, not just what you can do technically.
It really is, which leads to another important point, the interplay between soft and hard skills.
Right, because you do still need the technical abilities for many jobs.
Of course, you usually need both. Soft skills are often the ticket to get in the door and succeed long term, but hard skills are needed to actually perform the specific tasks.
But the emphasis seems to be shifting.
Well, what's interesting is that the material we looked at cited that a really high percentage of hiring managers consider soft skills equally or even more important than technical skills.
Wow, really? More important.
Sometimes, yes. And get this. A major reason new hires don't work out, apparently, isn't because they lack the technical skills, but because they lack the necessary soft skills.
This is a lot.
It really does. It underlines why focusing on these is so critical. And it points towards, lifelong learning, continuously building both sets of skills, especially when you're moving fields and might need to pick up new technical knowledge. Your soft skills will actually help you learn faster.
Okay, so as we sort of wrap this up, if there's one main message for someone listening, maybe feeling a bit unsure about making that leap, what should they take away from this deep dive?
I think the core message is don't underestimate the skills you already have. Those soft skills, the ones you've built up through all your experiences, they are genuinely valuable. They are transferable assets.
Right, even if you're re-entering after a break or changing lanes completely.
Especially then, your ability to communicate, solve problems, adapt, work with others, that's powerful stuff.
Absolutely. And it seems the key is really about learning to first recognize them in yourself and then critically articulate them. Show them off with real examples.
That's how you bridge that gap, between where you've been and where you want to go. You connect the dots for potential employers.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over.
Yeah, think about this. Which of your soft skills feel most relevant, most needed in the specific new industry or role you're aiming for?
And
And then get really specific. How can you showcase those particular skills with compelling stories, with concrete examples in your resume, your cover letter, and crucially, in your conversations?
finding those specific connection points.
Exactly. Nailing that is often where the real magic of making a successful career transition happens.